Today will clash two worlds, modern science and the ancient knowledge of the Vedas. We'll look behind the scenes of scientific discoveries and delve into ancient wisdom to try to answer questions that have troubled humanity since time immemorial. How old is our universe? How did it come about? Was the Big Bang the beginning of everything, or is it just one stage in a grand cosmic game? What if the Vedas, millennia before the advent of modern science, already contains the concept of the Big Bang? If the universe had a beginning, will it have an end, and when will it be? What are the common points between the conclusions of modern science and the ancient Vedas? What if the ancient sages, observing the world and meditating, grasp the truth about the origin of the universe, which we are rediscovering anew? Be prepared for familiar ideas to be turned upside down. After all, as Albert Einstein said, in the infinite universe the activity of an infinitely perfect mind is revealed. Well, let's embark on an exciting exploration that could change our understanding of reality. Like detectives armed with the most modern tools, scientists tirelessly collect clues scattered across the vast expanses of space. Giant telescopes, capable of peering into the farthest corners of the universe, record light that has traveled billions of years. A meticulous analysis of the oldest stars and the mysterious relic radiation, the echo of the Big Bang, gives scientists hope for recreating the history of the universe. However, despite all these titanic efforts and huge budgets, the picture of the origin of the universe remains very contradictory and incomplete. We can measure redshift, which indicates the expansion of the universe, and estimate the age of stars based on their composition and brightness. But what if our tools and methods, and even ourselves, are imperfect? What if, by studying the cosmos, we overlook key details that can turn out ideas about the universe upside down? The mystery of dark matter and dark energy, which make up most of the universe, is still unsolved. How could life have arisen from dead matter? Are there other intelligent civilizations? What is the ultimate fate of the cosmos? These are all questions that science does not yet have definitive answers to. Perhaps we rely too much on our tools and models, forgetting that the universe may be much more complex and amazing than the capabilities of our minds. And what did ancient civilizations know about space? Maybe the answers to the deepest questions are hidden not only in stars and galaxies, but also in ancient texts and philosophical teachings that have been passed down from generation to generation for centuries. It's time to think, do we believe too blindly in ourselves and in the possibilities of the science we have created? Isn't it time to expand the horizons of our search and turn to the sources of ancient wisdom in order to approach an understanding of the true nature of the universe? The history of science is full of examples of how our understanding of the world has changed over time. Once upon a time, scientists held the belief that the Earth was flat and the Sun revolved around it. Today, science believes that the Earth is round and that it revolves around the Sun. What guarantees that after some time, scientists will not change their minds again? The same principle applies to ideas about the age of the universe. Recently, science's views on this issue have undergone significant changes. Back in the early 20th century, estimates ranged from a few million to a few billion years. And who knows what discoveries await us in the future? Perhaps in a century, our descendants will look at current theories with the same surprise with which we look at the ideas of people of the past.
The general laws of human knowledge, which have been revealed in the laws of atomic physics, are not something new. They occupied an important place in Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. What is happening now is a confirmation, continuation, and renewal of ancient wisdom. Robert Oppenheimer.
The oldest scriptures of mankind, the Vedas, offer us a look at the universe, its appearance and age from a different angle. Unlike the linear model of modern science, the Vedas describes the universe as cyclical, going through endless cycles of creation, existence and destruction. Cyclicality permeates the whole world around us. The change of day and night, the cycle of seasons, the rotation of planets and even the movement of electrons in atoms. If the entire universe obeys this rhythm, is it not logical to assume that it itself exists in an endless cycle of appearance and destruction? The Vedas state exactly that. Unlike the linear model of modern science, the Vedas speak of an eternal cycle of cosmic breathing that creates and dissolves worlds. According to the teachings of Vedas, time is not just an abstract measure, but an eternal energy that has neither beginning nor end. And now attention, if time is infinite, then the universe must also be eternal, existing in a continuous cycle of birth and destruction. This explanation seems more logical than the idea of spontaneous emergence of matter from nothing at some point in eternity. The classic question that has no answer: if the Big Bang gave rise to matter, what was before it? Where did the space in which this explosion occurred come from? The Vedic concept of eternal time and the cycle universe offers an interesting explanation that looks very holistic and harmonious. Scientists studying the universe can take these facts into account and consider them in their further research.
Yet there is another unmanifest nature, which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Bhagavad Gita.
What is said about the origin of the universe in the Vedas? In the central Vedic work, the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that there are two dimensions, the manifested and the unmanifested. The manifested is the universe in which we live. More precisely, the manifested dimension is a collection of many universes. All these universes, shaped like a giant egg, have a temporary, cyclical nature. They appear and disappear, appear, then disappear again. In this manifested world, the cycles of appearance and destruction occur eternally. In another way, the manifested world is called the world of suffering and death, where everything has its beginning and end. The unmanifested world is also called the spiritual world. This is a world that is not affected by the power of time. It exists eternally, it has no cycles, it is not created, which means it is not destroyed. As for our universe, which is part of the material, manifested world, it has its own lifespan. This universe had a beginning and will definitely have an end, like everything else in this material world. The lifespan of the universe, from the point of view of Vedic science, is 311,040,000,000,000 Earth years. By studying the Vedas, we can trace the parallels between human life and the life of the universe. The human body can be called a microcosm that is born, lives, say, 100 years, and eventually dies. The universe can be called a macrocosm, which is also born in due time, lives its 100 years and then dies. 100 years of the life of the universe in terms of our time is 311 trillion 40 billion Earth years. Both man and the universe are reborn after death, then die again, then reborn again. This happens forever. Why, when determining the age of the universe, do we say 311 trillion Earth years? Vedic texts such as the Srimad Bhagavatam state that in our universe the perception of time depends on the development of the consciousness of a living being. At different levels of development, a living being perceives the passage of time differently. In other words, time is perceived subjectively. For example, despite the fact that the life of a mosquito is measured in days and a person in decades, the subjective perception of time for both is equally rich. Each lives his life to the fullest, filling it with various experiences. Therefore, time being an absolute value is subjectively experienced differently, depending on the level of consciousness. What seems like an eternity to us may be just a short moment for others. The Vedas explain that for higher forms of life that live on a higher planetary systems, human life is just a moment. For some of the most advanced beings in the universe, its existence in 311 trillion Earth years is perceived in much the same way that a person perceives his 100 years. So, time is an absolute force that causes subjective experiences depending on how developed consciousness is. What seems like an eternity to us may be just a short moment for others. "311 trillion years is the lifespan of the universe, but how old is she today? If the universe is born, exists and is destroyed, then at what stage of this grandiose cycle are we now?" Research of Vedic cosmological texts leads to the conclusion that our universe is currently in this year of its existence. This is 155 trillion 521 billion 971 million 961,697. We have already drawn parallels between man and the universe, the microcosm and the macrocosm. Suppose a person lives 100 years. Human life consists of days and nights. During the day a person is active, at night he is inactive. Every night we seem to die, completely forgetting about ourselves during deep sleep, and in the morning we seem to be born again. Similarly, the universe goes through phases of day and night, which essentially mean appearance and destruction. At night, there is a partial destruction of the universe. It is almost completely destroyed, with the exception of the highest planets completely inaccessible to us. Then a new birth of the universe takes place, which is called the universal day. So, the universe goes through 36,000 cycles of appearances and destructions. In other words, during its life, the universe is almost completely destroyed 36,000 times, which is like night, and then reappears, which is like day. In terms of Earth years, a universal day lives 4,320 million years. The universal night lasts the same amount. If you make calculations based on data from the Vedas, it turns out that the last universal day began 1,971,961,697 years ago. Thus, we can safely say that according to the Vedas, in particular the Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas, the age of our universe is almost 2 billion years.
If you are interested in the Vedas in space, come learn and explore these topics with us at the Veda Center. Link in description.